All right. Welcome, folks. People are starting to log in, so appreciate you joining us. So we'll just kind of get rolling into this. So thanks for taking the time. My name is Ryan Mayfield, founder of Mayfield Renewables. And today we're going to be talking with the good folks at Tigo, and talking about building a smart solar business with energy intelligence. So this is based on some work we did with Cross Consulting and Tigo around their energy intelligence system, and kind of helping bring that to market. So as we're going along, we'd love to get some questions from you, some feedback. And so all along the way, happy to have you come in and ask some questions. Easiest way for us to do that is through the Q&A function in Zoom. So as you're doing that, if you could put those questions in the Q&A, it makes it a lot easier for us to manage that through. So with that, let's introduce ourselves and be able to talk more about this. So again, my name is Ryan Mayfield. Happy to have you join us. Along with me hosting today is Robert from Cross Consulting. Robert, you want to introduce yourself to the folks?
Sure. I think you and I know each other pretty well, right, Ryan?
Oh yeah.
Yep. So my name's Robert Cross. I'm the founder and CEO of Cross Consulting, and Ryan and I have been working together for several years. Do a lot of work around product consulting. Excited to get into this discussion today with Tigo.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks. So I think a good way to kick this off, and Robert, why don't you tell us a little bit about this video? Kind of, you were very instrumental in this, and just kind of, how this came to fruition, and kind of how this ties into the topic we're talking about.
Yeah, that's right. I appreciate it, Ryan. Earlier this year, we had an idea to work with Tigo on a campaign to feature their energy intelligence software platform. And I got the opportunity to go to Germany and Italy and work with some of their customers and clients. The idea behind this brief video is to show the work that we did. I think it's a little bit interesting to see that work. So why don't we cue it up?
Sure.
There is a grid congestion in a lot of countries. Electricity prices went up, so it's becoming more and more important to get the highest energy out of your system.
Electricity grids are going digital, are going smarter, and the way to control that is the software.
Sales engineering plus technical support is customer success.
Ja, es ist sehr interessant zwischendurch zu sehen, was macht meine Anlage jetzt aktuell, wie viel habe ich noch im Speicher, wie schnell ist der Speicher dann auch wieder geladen. Das ist schon sehr interessant zwischendurch. Auch, dass man einstellen kann, wie viel Geld habe ich effektiv heute gespart oder im Laufe von einer Woche, eines Monats.
That's fun.
Yes, that's a great video, kind of illustrating the work that we were able to work together on.
Yeah, just one thing that I would note about it that was really fun about this project is interviewing people in German and Italian with translation. That was definitely a different type of thing, a challenge, and I enjoyed it. So just to touch on this a bit, Ryan and I are really excited to introduce our product consulting services. We think that there's a great opportunity to work with companies like Tigo. And what we're really trying to do here is bring our engineering acumen, technical expertise, and tell a story in a compelling way. and really appreciate the opportunity to work with Tigo, in particular because we have the hardware product and the software application. And what we were really trying to figure out is the best way to tell that story. And what we tried to do was focus on their customers and the value that they're provided by the software platform. Brian, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit, because we've been doing some of this work for a while from your vantage point.
Yeah, and specifically with the work we did with Tigo, it was really interesting to kind of dive into that energy intelligence platform and look at that and talking with people using our experiences and talking with people that we're working with in the industry all the time, understanding how that product fits and is able to bring more value for people was a great part of it. I didn't get to interview anybody in German though, so my 3 years of high school German went to waste there, I guess.
That's great. So the focus of the service and the work that we're trying to do, obviously there's a ton of opportunity in the market, in particular in the States with the Inflation Reduction Act. More opportunity means more products. And what we try to figure out from a Mayfield's perspective, what is that fit? How to you rank the value propositions of your technology, but most importantly, getting it from your customers and your prospects, not just either from Tigo's team or Mayfield's team, but really getting out there and talking to people.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of what we're trying to do, the value we're trying to bring to that, as well as getting that voice of the industry into the conversation.
Just one other point on that side, but you can stay here, Ron. Okay. Something that was really interesting from my vantage point, from a software perspective, what I found through the interview process, and in particular in Europe, the contractors that are really embracing the software and wrapping their arms around it are seeing the value. And that was something that I myself learned through the customer discovery. It's not just a challenge, but the opportunity to better position your business. And I think by getting out there and talking to people, that was really valuable to me. So as far as this slide goes and how we work, when we do product market fit type engagements, what we're really trying to do is use our industry acumen. Ryan and the Mayfield team has a significant amount of experience around codes and standards, application engineering, figuring out design and installation methodology. And then from my vantage point, in particular in regards to the agency, I'm trying to figure out messaging, ranking and prioritizing the feature set, and how to tell these stories, and in particular, how to showcase technology in a compelling way.
Yeah, I think that was a big part of this whole thing was being able to bring our lens to that. And you mentioned the code compliance engineering side of things. We're definitely talking with people a lot, and being able the hardware and the software, kind of bringing those together. I thought that was a really interesting part of this project, of understanding how those two really complement each other, and how the software really adds that value to the system.
And again, just to touch on that note, I know that we work often with tools in our hand, and when you're installing a project, you're thinking about the different parts of the system. But I think more and more understanding software, quantifying the value in regard to eliminating or reducing soft costs, and focusing on how to communicate that value to your customers. In this case, the end users, the people that are benefiting from the systems, is going to become more important. It's not going away. So even Mayfield ourselves, we're trying to figure out, how do we approach software? And that was a fun part of this project for me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I guess there's this other video kind of using this to introduce Tigo. I guess, Robert, did you have something you wanted to say specific on this video too?
Yeah, so this was some work from last year. Crest got an opportunity to go up to Northern California and interview the executive team. This is V, the CEO of Tigo. Tigo went public earlier this year, and actually got to meet V at RE Plus, which was nice. So why don't we just cue this up?
I started my journey at Tigo as an investor back in May 1st, 2013. I signed the check. Our strategy is based on 2 or 3 main focal points, or cornerstones, I guess I should call it. One, we are an open system. Our solutions work with pretty much any other supplier in the market, which is a very strong position. Exceptionally reliable. Our failure rates are less than 0.01%, so that's the second one. We ourselves are focused on bringing some of those sample solutions to the unique markets, demonstrating how it should be done, and it helps others figure out, how to best use the solutions for the best benefits of customers, and that should bring a lot of value.
Thanks, Ren.
Yep. Okay, so ready to bring on our guests now from Tigo. So we have both Archie and JD joining us today, sitting there together. So I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves, and they have, let them talk about the EI platform a little bit more, and kind of give us that overview. So Archie, you want to give us that introduction?
Absolutely. Thanks for the intro there, and thanks for being with us today. My name is Archie Roboostoff, and I'm the head of software. I get to work with a world-class team to deliver the stuff we're going to talk about today. And over to you.
And I'm JD Dillon. I'm head of marketing here at Tigo, and I'm the one who initially engaged Robert for the video that you just saw with Zvi, and that was kind of our first taste of working with him. And you're going to hear today about going over even deeper with Mayfield, Robert, and the team. So I wanted to start by saying what led us to eventually engaging. And what really led us to it is doing an analysis of the size of the C&I solar market and resi market combined. So we realize there's a business need as it grows and grows. And I mean, renewable energy is going to keep growing. And there's a business need to be able to manage all of the assets out in the field. And that's for our customers, not for us. So if you look at big box retailers, if you look at shipping companies, if you look at, we have a beer plant down in Southern California. If you look at all these large installations, how does an installer or an installation company or EPC, whatever you want to call them, how do they service this enormous and complex fleet? And the answer is with advanced software. And what we created and we evolved over time over the last few years is what we call the Tigo Energy Intelligence platform. So that was the business challenge that led us into the software realm. So the next slide, please. And if you want to dig down into it, this is a pretty interesting way to look at it. The average truck roll costs $800. And our installers average 6 truck rolls per megawatt per year. So that's about $5,000 per megawatt per year in, I will call it, waste. These are truck rolls that shouldn't happen. Now, you're never going to eliminate truck rolls, but how about making it a little bit more efficient? And how do you lower the soft costs? And actually, for anybody who's watching this, I encourage you to go find out what these numbers are for yourselves. You might be doing better than this. More power to you. Or goodness, you might be doing worse than this. But our software can help no matter how much you're doing in this wasted O&M, these O&M charges. So onto the software itself, which is the next slide. We look at it in terms of all the way from the module to the fleet. So what do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to use an example of one of our customers. This customer happens to be in Australia, but it's a good illustrative example. So he has a winery with 2,200 modules on his roof, on the roof, various roofs, plural, I guess. And he can see every one of the modules from this terminal. He's got 117 sites with a total of 20,000 modules spread across those 117 sites. And he can see all the way down to the one module on the winery. So Australia is a big country. How about the idea of grouping them such that if he has to do an O&M, an operations and maintenance run, going together with sites that are right nearby each other? That is the most obvious, simple example of using the power, and he can figure it out all from his desk before he deploys his fleet. So that's one of my favorite examples. And I mean, we have 75,000 monitored sites. So our fleet, if you want to look at it differently, we have a fleet of 75,000 sites. It's huge. But we're doing this for our customers, for the installers. And we said to ourselves, we're known as a hardware company, frankly. But we have a great software team, which we're going to hear about right now. And so how do we get the word out? Well, the answer was to engage with Ryan and Robert and their respective teams in order to develop this marketing campaign. So let's see the first of the videos.
Software help to integrate all the different products that you may have in your system, and with Tigo Portal we'll be able to have the full control of all the different systems and all the different products installed in the system from a single point.
You have like a previous investment of a PV system that you built and you want to monitor, understand how good is it performing.
And the only way is to have a powerful software that can enable you to monitor that.
With the software they can experience a much better performance, much better service.
Being able to add additional savings to my photovoltaic system thanks to the Tigo system was something that also helped a lot on an economic level. To understand the efficiency of our installation, the software shows us by module how much energy is recovered with the use of Tigo's optimization technology.
It can also help an installer when there is an issue with service. He can go directly to the customer with the right solution.
And you know exactly what's going on and what you need to do repair. This is how we really reduce the truck rolls for our operators.
The greatest value is the control of your fleet.
It is important for us that we have the Fleet Manager platform where we can monitor our systems completely and keep an eye on certain parameters.
With software they can have a better experience on their installation. So in the end the experience and also the return of investment for that specific installation will be much better.
Okay, I guess it's my turn to take over. So we're in the Tigo studios here, so it makes me feel very magisterial being able to present like this. So anyways, thanks for the lead up. Wanted to talk through the EI, the Tigo Energy Intelligence platform. You know, really, as JD said, we've got 75,000 systems that we're monitoring. We take in about 40 billion data points a day. Now, those big numbers don't mean much unless we're able to do something with it. And the true value of that data is we're able to analyze things at a very high scale. And really, that allows us to achieve our goals. And what goals do we have for this software and our combined system? Well, the goals are, we want to maximize performance. We want to make sure that that customer's investment in that install is doing what it's supposed to do. We want to also advise the system owner on what's the best consumption mix. Perhaps you're overspending in your consumption here and you're underproducing here. Let's find out why and what needs to get done. We also, for sort of our key persona here, which is the installer, we want to make sure we have the best installation experience, right? Because installing solar environments it's very tricky. things go wrong, and we want to make sure that we're there for them if something happens to go wrong, so they don't waste time at the site. And we pride ourselves on having a 10-minute or less commissioning time for the residential market, which I believe is industry leading. And if we hear otherwise, we'll just have to improve there as well. And then, as JD said, we want to make sure we reduce truck rolls. About 90% of our issues can be solved remotely with this platform and what we're trying to do here. So if we go to the next slide here, we kind of talk about where our DNA came from. To me, this is one of the most powerful aspects of our platform is our ability to get at the most granular level. You know, every other inverter out there, every other solar company, they have monitoring solutions, but we really pride ourselves on being one of the first to be able to get to the lowest level of where power is being produced. And as JD said earlier, we're able to pinpoint a very specific module, one module out of tens of thousands in some cases, and actually show you what was going on at any period of time in every minute going back as far as that system has been producing. So you're able to actually slide down and see, wait a minute, all day, every day, that one panel there is not doing very well. We want to take a look at that and see what's going on. Now, it wouldn't make much sense if we asked each installer to go through every single one of their sites and do this at scale. So that's where the power of our analytics comes in, right? We've got over a decade of panel and module performance in every region of the world. So we know exactly what panels should be doing at any given time. And if there's something wrong, we advise them that there might be something wrong. And we think that's a very powerful aspect. And now, when you combine that granularity with the ability of aggregating things at the fleet level, if I can get to the next slide, that would be nice. There we go. This is where the true power of our platform comes together, right? And so when it comes to fleet management, really, what problems are we trying to solve? Well, we're trying to let the installer or the manager of the fleet figure out what's wrong with the system so that when they do go and do a truck roll, they're not having to spend hours on site either trying to figure out what's wrong or trying to call somebody for help. We want to advise them and say, look, this is exactly what's wrong. It's on that panel. You're going to spend 30 minutes on site. You're going to get in, you're going to get out, you're going to get on your way. And as JD alluded to, if we can group those together, even better. Given our analytics and what we know about each one of those pieces of equipment, including the modules, the inverter, the battery, in fact, we can tell that installer something is going to go wrong with a piece of equipment before it even does. So there's no loss of production, which means a very happy installer because they know exactly what's wrong, but an even happier end customer because nothing actually went down. So these are the type of things we're trying to do. We're trying to really pinpoint where that installer across this fleet needs to maximize their time, where they need to focus, and a bunch of other analytics, including, hey, maybe you have an installation crew that might need more training because we can see here that their commissioning time is actually longer than this other crew there. So we've got crew resource management, we've got on-the-spot fleet health status. We've got the trending alerts in terms of equipment. So perhaps there's a new piece of equipment that they maybe weren't trained on that well, and they can see a trend and maybe some issues there. They can resolve that very quickly. So when you mix all of this together, you know, the granularity of what we have, the depth of data that we have, and the ability of us doing real good analytics on that, you know, you can see this platform is truly a part of the installer's company. We want to make our platform a helper for their business so that they can continue to do what they do, and we'll keep eyes and we'll keep watching everything. If we get to the next slide, you know, really on top of it, you know, I talked about being able to maximize production, and that's just managing the health, making sure that things are optimized. We actually show some data and analytics that say, hey, we think that your environment should be producing X, but you're producing X minus 3%. Something might be wrong. Let's take a look. But on top of that, when you mix it with the power of our optimization, you know, we've got our Tigo modules that are very good at eliminating shade issues. right? If you've got shade across a very long string, it doesn't matter even if one panel gets shaded, that whole string goes down in terms of production. We're able to bypass that. We're able to mitigate against that. So we keep that whole string at maximum production, but that one panel that was shaded, okay, maybe that'll be degraded for a little bit. But we outline that very clearly in the portal here and actually show where, hey, you know, perhaps you don't have shading mitigation using optimizers on one field. Maybe if you added it, you would get this. So we really try to demonstrate not only the production and the value that they're getting, but we show them exactly how much power they were able to recapture over that lifetime. And I think to date, we've actually recaptured something like 3 gigawatts of energy, or even something bigger than that. But it's an impressive number globally that wouldn't have existed without our technology. And depending on the size of the field, depending on the size of the system or how they do it, you know, the payback on an optimizer is almost 1 year. It's very quick because of the new energy that you're producing that you would have lost otherwise. So with that, what I want to do is, you know, I want to transition to the next slide. But before I do, you know, I mentioned, sorry, didn't mean to catch you guys up there. I mentioned that, you know, our fleet and our technology, we want to become part of that installation experience and that installer's business. One of the things I like to say often is that Tigo, we're big enough to matter. We've got the scale, we've got the technology, but we're also small enough to care. We will get involved with every single one of your installs and help you. We've got a new offering called the Green Glove Service, but on top of that, the heart and soul of our monitoring isn't just technology. It's a group of people who are dedicated 24/7 watching what's happening at these systems. I'll give you a good example. We had an install that we started getting some alerts on, and it turned out that that install was actually done slightly incorrectly, and it presented a potential dangerous situation for that homeowner. Our teams got the alerts, they logged in, they were able to remotely shut down that system. We alerted the installer. They said, oh, geez, thank you very much for doing that. They went out, we helped them, we rectified the situation, brought the system back online. It was less than 24 hours before things were normal. So that's the power, but it's not done just by technology alone. It involves people. And so the next video outlines those people behind that process, and that's our customer success organization. So next slide.
One pillar is supporting customers before they buy the product and all the way down to commissioning their plant. And that's called sales engineering. The second pillar is continue supporting them once they bought their product, and that's called technical support.
Normally they call us when they're on site and we can guide them through the steps. Tigo is about making your life easier, and technical support is a big part of that.
Not only selling products, but finding solutions for companies. That's where Tigo is good in.
Sales engineering plus technical support is customer success.
Archie, it's been great getting to know you this year. Your background's obviously heavy on software, and Tigo manufactures hardware. I'm really curious from your vantage point, knowing where we're going, demand side management, time of use, and the role software is going to play. But when you step back a little bit, can you just talk a little bit about, from your vantage point, the importance of software in the industry in the coming years?
Yeah, I think, you know, obviously I'm slightly biased.
How much time you got?
I'm slightly biased on software. I'll keep it quick. I could pontificate for hours on software. I'm biased towards software, but I truly believe that the differentiator in our hardware offerings is the way that the software sort of controls and advises. So as a complete solution, I think we're doing quite well there. In terms of where we want to go, you know, I'm very excited for what we've just talked about. All of this is released, you know, the ability of telling a fleet manager where the problems are, grouping them, showing their sort of crew resource management, their equipment management, the analytics. But to be honest, we're just getting started. You know, we are moving in a direction where, you know, we're going to be doing different things in terms of the goal-oriented approach of what the homeowner wants to do across all their energy management at their home. And we're getting some stuff into the commercial space. So we're just going to continue on this, but really, my job's easy. You know, I just listen to the installers. I listen to the commercial installers. We listen to the homeowners. And to be perfectly honest, they know our system better than we do. And so it's really just a matter of listening to them, prioritizing what they want and delivering it. And we have a long backlog of feedback and requests that all of our constituents are asking for. So it's going to be an important role, and software, I think, like I said, is the differentiator.
And JD, I know that you're responsible for messaging for Tigo, and I enjoy working with you and Ryan on that regard. How does Tigo embrace getting out in front and trying to prioritize messaging to the installers and making sure that these opportunities are top of mind?
Well, first of all, I think right now, solar is hardware and you have software that supports it. X number of years from now, we can guess what X is. I don't know. It's going to be a software system that the hardware supports the software. And I think installers are seeing it at various speeds, but we need to get the message out. And the message needs to come from other customers and installers. And that's what this project was all about. We can say it. And I want to add another thing. There is a hubris to any company that develops a product or service and then thinks they know all about their own product and service. And working with Mayfield and Cross, with you guys, we were able to get third eyes on this. We have our customers, yes, and then you're able to nudge us a little bit here and there. And on the messaging, you're able to say, well, maybe this point doesn't quite resonate as well as you think. And so that check on our own ego when it comes to our product was definitely needed.
Ryan, your vantage point working on this project, I mean, I know you spend a lot of time from a code standards perspective, but also being a technical resource and working with people in the field. Just kind of curious what you think.
Yeah, that was something that I really appreciated, like just exactly what you were just saying, JD, in terms of, you know, of course you as a manufacturer have, you know, you're on everything, and then we're being on a different angle of it. We're able to see things differently. So that was a great part of this whole project, and, you know, being able to put that together, present that, and then talk it through in terms of presenting that and helping, you know, Tigo in this case understand what those perspectives were and getting that voice of customer to them was one of the better parts that I found on this project, because I am very often so stuck in codes and standards, and so sometimes it's getting that personal interaction is helpful.
And the most impressive thing for me, kind of looking at it from a consultant's lens and the engineering applications vantage point, was the people, quite frankly. You know, it's one thing to say it or demonstrate it or write it in a blog, but it's another thing to be sitting there in Italy and Germany and watching how Tigo's support team interacts with the customers and hearing it off camera, right? So this is not an uncomplex world that we're living in right now. You have the PV side, but batteries are playing a bigger role. EVs are playing a bigger role, and that's forcing more communication, more service, more handling of data. And what I really came away with from the trip is our role, you know, from our respective lenses and communicating the challenges and the value. And I thought that Tigo does that really well with their support team. We got to spend some time in Italy in the offices, and just in seeing that interaction back and forth was a good experience for me, because it gets me to think about, like, well, how do we scale as an industry, right? Support's going to be really integral to that.
And despite what it may seem, the customers were not actors. I swear, the guy at the beginning looks like he's right out of Central Casting, and he really is a German customer. And we happen to get a guy with a wonderful beard. I can appreciate a good beard. So, but they were great, and they were they loved speaking with you. So it's very, very good.
Yeah, it was a hell of an experience and a lot of fun. And you get to see why. So that customer in particular, he's talking about, costs are rising. And for him, the opportunity to take control or at least inform his future was a big part of why he moved forward with Tigo. I know my consultancies worked a lot with EPCs and on the installation and O&M side. And sometimes you start being concerned about how much information is too much information. But I think it's our responsibility from our respective chairs to help ease that transition. And I know from working with Archie on their platform development and where they're going, I think a really big part of this, and maybe we can kind of tie a bow on it, is UI and UX. So like your user interface and your experience standards, you can build the thing, you can install the thing, but if we don't get better at operating and maintaining it as we start to scale and solar pushes into more homes and businesses, you're going to lose customers. And I think UI, UX is going to be a really, really big piece moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, we can collect all the data we want, but if we don't produce it in meaningful data for the customer and give them some sort of actionable insights, it's noisy, right? And so our goal is to sort of reduce that, what we call the signal to noise ratio, and just give them, hey, you need to focus on this system because there's a financial implication. Here's what you're going to do, and here's why. And I think if we do that better, everybody wins.
Right, and I think you've been seeing that more too with feasibility studies and modeling. I imagine that's picking up quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the need to get that data and be able to use that data. And so one of the things that struck me as being very interesting, and JD, you were talking about earlier, of being able to see, get alerts, exact components, and be able to tell the installer, here's what's going on, here's what you're up against when you show up on site. And so that kind of data is just, worlds better than, one, not knowing anything, but being able to show up informed. But in terms of just, being able to, like you were saying, Archie, use the data meaningfully. That's an important thing for us when we're talking about looking at future systems, even knowing what the previous had been doing.
Yeah, I mean, going back to that diagnostics, I think we live in a world now, and our platform is capable of, the installer will come into the office, see 3 FedEx boxes, and get a note from us saying, hey, tomorrow we suspect that one system that is very important to you is going to have an issue. Here's the replacement units before it even broke. So, those types of things we continue to work on, and that's what our installers and our fleet managers and even our end users are demanding.
Great.
All right. Okay. So I want to close out with an amusing story. I was at RE Plus, and somebody came by to interview me, and the first question I asked, and this was off the cuff, I said, "So how many boxes about the size of that battery have you seen?" And the person shook their head and they say, 100. Every single booth has a box that looks like it might be a battery, although it's usually empty because it's expensive to transport. So you've got all these empty boxes. And well, the funny thing is, right next to where we had our empty box, we had Archie demonstrating the software to a packed house. That's where we're going. And as we transition as a company, we needed a company like Mayfield and Robert's tremendous services to produce the information you saw. Don't hear it from us. Don't hear it from Mayfield. Hear it from the customer and get an informed opinion from us in the industry. And then that wonderful gentleman with the long beard who tells you, you know what, I don't care about any of that stuff. Costs are rising. And so anyway, I appreciate the opportunity to work with you gentlemen. And over to you, Ryan, to finish this out.
Awesome. Well, thanks, JD, and thanks Archie for joining us today. And yeah, I would agree on the project as a whole. It's been great, and I know that there's talk of future things and be able to really elevate what Tigo is bringing to the industry, and so excited about what the future holds for all of us there. And so yeah, so part of this is letting folks know about our services as well, and just so our contact information is here. Happy to talk with folks, and how that taking that same approach might help your teams and your products out there. Robert, what did I miss?
I think we've got it mostly covered. It was a lot of fun for myself personally, better understanding how software is going to impact the industry, I think is a responsibility that we all have to take part in for our respective companies. You can't scale as these numbers start going up there without having a better understanding of how your products are working and customers are dealing with it. So I enjoyed that. Ryan and I really value working with manufacturers and providing solutions. That's why we're here. And the agency's job with Crest is to tell the story in an artful way. And that's what we aim to do.
Wonderful. Well, great. Thank you all. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you in attendance. JD, Archie, I really appreciate you taking the time to go through, kind of walk through all of your system with us. And so, yeah, so I appreciate everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.